Musical Talk, the UK independent musical theatre podcast.
Hello, welcome to me. Are you raving to the theme tune, Hannah?
I'm doing the Nick Hudson dance.
The Nick Hudson dance to the Nick Hudson composed theme tune. Yes, for those of you not in the studio, you're very lucky. Welcome to this week's episode of Musical Talk. My name is Nick Hudson, and sitting with Hannah. Hello, Hannah.
Hello, Nick.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good.
In fact, I'm feeling wickedly good. Ooh.
Yes, she went there. And we did indeed go there tonight. We bunked off from Eurovision to go and see some well-written songs instead. And we went to see Wicked at the Apollo Victoria, now in its umpteenth year.
How many is it this?
As
This
many
time.
years as Musical Talk has been around.
Which is, at the time of recording...
Probably 17, 18 years or something like that. And the reason we went is I've seen it a couple of times.
How
over the
many
years.
times over the years?
A couple of times over the years. I mean, when Idina Menzel was in it, I saw it about 8 times then. So the thing is, I've seen it more times than you have,
Yes.
Hannah. And by more, I mean you have seen it a grand total of 1
Now.
times
Yes.
in your life.
That was my first time seeing Wicked, and obviously it's a show that has been around for virtually my lifetime, and it's one that always dominates anything. And yeah, it's one that I have never seen and knew very little about. So I don't know if I've said this before, but when I see a show, I like to go in blind. I don't like to know too much about it because I like to be surprised and have everything as that new experience.
What did you go in knowing?
I went in knowing Defying Gravity, knowing that it was about...
You went in Defying Gravity. You floated in the theatre.
He's trying to be funny, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, you're gonna pick that up, or
That's all right. Carry on.
I could make a comment. I'm not gonna.
That's
I'm
my
gonna be very.
dignity dropping out of my pockets. Let's carry on.
So I knew, obviously, Defying Gravity. I knew that it was about Elphaba and that Glinda was involved as well. I knew that the song Popular was in it, and I'd heard people talk about For Good. I knew that Glinda came down in a bubble,
Sort of, yeah.
and that was it.
Okay.
That was all I knew about
Did
Wicked.
you know it was the backstory of...
Yeah, I knew that it was... Everybody
and you have the
told
novel at
me
home,
that-
don't you?
Yeah, but it's still on the bookcase.
Okay. What made you get the novel?
My mum picked it up.
Okay.
Technically, it's hers.
Okay. So you went in...
So it's in the household.
Because the novel is completely different to the stage show.
Yeah, and it's one that I would, especially now I've seen the show. It's been on the bookcase, and it's one that I'm like, I'd like to read that, but just haven't got around to doing it. And now that I've seen the show, I'm now more inclined to read it because it's like you said. Oh, I knew there was a dragon on top of the stage, but I didn't know that he really did anything. But now that I've seen it and I've kind of seen that dragon moving every now and then, and you saying that actually that links in more with the novel. Oh gosh, hitting the microphone stand, and things like that.
It moves every time something bad is going to happen, like it's
and
controlling the...
I'd like to know what the ties are more, and like you say, that happens more in the book. So I feel like you're going to get a more rounded idea of the show from the book.
And you said to me, because we're umming and ahhing about what to do tonight, what we wanted to see a show, and you said, let's go and see Wicked, A, because...
I've never seen it before.
You haven't seen it, and B, you said because the film.
Yeah, so
out.
I said because the film's coming out, I personally, and I don't know if others think this way or if it's even the case, but I think that once the film comes out, it's going to bring such a resurgence of Wicked that it's just going to become impossible to get a ticket.
Okay.
That's just, either that or the prices are all going.
Reputation.
Or the prices are all going to go up because I think it is a show that's been so well loved for so many years, and it's like I said to you, there are a group of people that when they see this show, be it for the first time or the umpteenth time, And there are people out there who absolutely adore it, and it becomes their personality. It becomes I kind of feel like you always know the people where it's like, what's your favourite show? And they're like, Wicked. Like, love it.
Wicked, Waitress, Hamilton, Heathers. That's all the kind of same
and
teenagery.
From seeing this show now, I get why. There's the Moni Girls songs from both Elphaba and Glinda. In the second act, there's the "We're gonna have sex" song.
Yeah, we've matured.
I was kind of sat there through that one. I was like, I'm a bit bored. I was like, can we just wrap this up? It's all gone dark in here. I'm about to have a nap.
Lots of smoke, though, so we like that. But
true.
When years ago we did an episode of on the podcast called Wicked, Wonderful or Popular?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Popular.
Okay.
It was good, but
You
it's
described it as a word which I've never heard anyone describe Wicked as, and it's cute.
Yeah, it's cute. Like, it's
but
cute.
Time Vision being little fluffy bunnies and small. Wicked is anything but intimate. And that's where the problem lies, I think, now, is that it's such a big production of a very intimate story about two people.
I said to you in the interval, obviously we've just had Defying Gravity, and I was like, that was good.
Yeah.
And I didn't use the words I'm bored, but saying it's cute for me is like, yeah, it's cute. It's not that I love it at that point when we got to the interval. I was like, it's not one that I'm like, oh my God, I love this. I'm going to be obsessed with this. But it's not like I wasn't enjoying it. It was cute. Yeah. It was like, it was well done, enjoyable. It's cute. Like, the story for me, it was like, it's like a little thing that's happening.
It's a little high school drama, isn't it?
Yeah. Cute.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything groundbreaking. It wasn't flowers in spring. Florals in spring, groundbreaking.
But you changed your tune a bit after the
show. Because so much more happens.
Yeah.
So much more happens.
As is often the case in a musical.
100%. You get to the interval, you're like, eh, and then you're like, oh, okay, I like that. And I just wish more of that strength came through in the first act. I get why, because it's the whole thing of, Elphaba's building her character and she finds her strength as she grows and finds her independence. You
want to see the second Wicked film more than the first.
Spread her wings and fly. So I get why, but at the same time, it's a bit like,
do you think...
Come on, I want to get to the good.
Do you think it's something that got lost in translation because you can tell that it's very American, like high schoolery?
Yeah.
And they tried to anglify a lot of it here, like the line, we all went to uni together, and maybe she saw green and thought it meant go, and it seems like the artichoke is steamed. They were all lines added into the London production when that opened, and then they went to the other productions around the world.
See, they're all lines that I was just... They didn't feel needed. They weren't necessary. The show would have still been just as strong without them, but they didn't even really get laughs.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, it was a very slim audience tonight, and I've never seen a theatre that empty before.
I know, but it is Eurovision night.
It is Eurovision night. I believe
that most people...
And it's also a very warm day.
It's the first proper... I said to you when we got back, we've done the whole day in T-shirts. It's the first day here this year that it's really been summery. I'd say...
That's the summary. Good night.
Well, that's summer in England. Yeah. Let's go back to raincoats. We've had our summer. Goodbye. But back to Wicked, I enjoyed it, but it's like I said to you, it's one of those shows that has been on my list, my little mental list for absolutely years. But it's one that whenever the opportunity to go and see it has presented itself to me, I've always said, no, let's go and see something else. And so other things...
In your case, something else,
Oh, yeah, Frozen, Hamilton... Everybody's talking about Jamie when Bianca Del Rio was in it. The sort of things that I went to go and see at times when I could have gone.
Many times.
Could have gone to go and see Wicked. But it's like I've said to you on the way back, it's one of those shows that I'm very glad that I was able to see while I was here and spending time while staying with you in London and It took us half an hour to get back on the tube. It was an amazing show. You were able to get, was it rush seats? Or you got rush seats. So they were affordable ticket prices, I think, for a West End show.
The row C of the dress circle on a Saturday night. Absolutely.
Exactly. And it took half an hour back on the tube. Now, I think, brilliant. That's absolutely fine. And I think for the kind of show, that kind of travel, perfect. For me,
had you gone in blind having to book a train and a hotel and a meal?
As a Devon girl, coming up, spending money on the train, then spending money on a hotel, turning it into a weekend trip, then having to pre-book tickets that will have probably cost a darn sight more than what we paid today. It's just like, suddenly, you're paying the price of a small holiday to see Wicked, and I feel like if you were paying that price, it wouldn't necessarily deliver. So you have to then try and pad your trip out with other things in case your show doesn't deliver, to still be like, yeah, we didn't waste our money on the train and the hotel.
Not that it matters, but we also had all the 3 leads were off tonight.
I bet they're all at Eurovision parties.
Well, Alexia Kadim, who is back reprising the role of Elphaba, she's done it before. She's very good.
Can I just say the cast we had tonight were astonishing?
Yeah. It's her official holiday. It's in the on the website, so that's planned. But Lucy St. Louise, I don't know. She was off, and Ryan Reed playing Fierro was also off. Not that it mattered, because you shouldn't get a lower quality product.
Oh gosh, no! I said to you in the interval when you said that the leads were out, I said you would not know at all. If you hadn't have told me, I wouldn't have known. Everybody that was on, we didn't get an announcement or anything to say who had stepped into those shoes or slippers, but they were amazing. Absolutely amazing. Could not fault the cast at all.
And also, sometimes if you get the understudy, you get a better performance because they're so thrilled to be doing it
that they put everything into it. I
and
can
it'll
see.
Be like,
you'd be if that's your job, it's what you go to every day. Like many of us in our jobs, you become so used to it, and you go into autopilot, and you're probably like, oh, what am I going to have for dinner? Yeah. That's what I'm like when I'm at work. When is it lunchtime? Yeah. When can I eat?
I'm like that all the time.
When am I going home? When can I go to bed?
But they were excellent.
Unbelievable.
And
can I just shout out for the costumes?
Yes. Now, I thought you'd like the costumes and the designs and things, and this is one of the big pluses of the show.
I want that Elphaba dress.
William Ivy Long is a legend when it comes to set design, and Susan Hilferty is the costume designer. Now, in my library somewhere, maybe the other library in the house, we have... I
want to go and see all the costumes for this show.
The Wicked Grimmery book, which you can look at, which has all the costumes, illustrations, and it's also signed by Stephen Schwartz. But anyway...
sure. I want to go and see all the costumes, please.
What was it about the costumes that you liked? Was it just the one gothic dress for Elphaba and Act
I did like that one. I love the Glinda dress for the pure fact of the amount of rhinestones that have been hand placed on there. And
you've got to remember, that's an understudy.
Yeah, I know.
That dress has to be made for her as well.
I know. This is what I find fascinating about them. And I've seen people on many of my sewing pages that I'm on recreating the Glinda dress. Oh my God, the detail in it.
Which Glinda dress are you referring to?
The classic come down in the bubble.
Okay. Did you notice that incredibly quick change she had between the first scene and when she's rolled
Did I notice? Of course I did. It was amazing. So that one. I also love when you go into Oz, the Emerald City. Because that's the other thing. I'm like, oh, when they're like, we have to leave Oz. And I'm like, what? Like, Like...
They want to meet the wizard.
Yeah, but aren't they leaving the Emerald City? I got confused.
They're going to the Emerald City.
Yeah, but at the end.
Oh, I don't know.
I see, at that point, they start to blur lines. But anyway, when they go to the Emerald City and all of those costumes were there, I was like, oh my God. There was one, and I just couldn't take my eyes off it, and it was a really fitted, structured outfit.
The big hat on the side.
With a hat
Yeah.
and like the glasses and the cigarette holder, and I'm like, I want to be you. I want that outfit. I need that outfit, please.
This show came
Especially this is someone that made a Dorothy dress.
Of course it did. This show came at a time.
I had COVID. I needed something.
Is it that one?
Yes, it's that one. I love it.
This show came at a time when Broadway was just like, yep, do whatever.
I love it.
We've had 9/11. We need to get people back into the theatre. And, you know, no expense is spared in this production, but yet I still think it under-delivers in the magic department.
Yes. I love, though, this is one of the things I'm very grateful for that we were in the dress circle, is that we got to see the floor projections, because a lot of the time sitting in the stalls, you lose that.
Kev, they weren't projections, they were just lighting effects.
Lighting
they
effects.
were gobo, moving lights,
Okay.
gobos on the stage. Carry on.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. No, so seeing those, like,
Moving gobos.
okay, thank you, nerd. Seeing those,
I do a theatre podcast. You do one as well. We are nerds and we are proud. Carry on.
look at me, I'm Nick Hudson. I know the technical term for everything. Sorry,
Right?
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Carry on.
But like when she's doing her incantations,
Yeah.
and it all changes,
That
and you
was all
see
added
it all
for the
come
London
in.
production.
I loved that. That was one of the things that I was like, oh, that's really
Yeah.
strong.
All the projections were added for London. When it originally opened on Broadway, or possibly before Broadway, in San Francisco, I believe it had its first ever, on Halloween night.
Oh, I bet that was good.
They had this massive hat that they were all kind of dancing underneath, and that was quickly cut because it just looked a bit ridiculous, really.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely bizarre. How much has it changed in the years that you've been seeing it then? Because you said this night, oh, that's new, when all the
There's
green lights.
one new lighting effect, but it was more when it opened at that theatre. That's when it was
That's
the
when
first.
changes happen, though, isn't it?
It was the first time they were able to look at it again and have a long rehearsal process and refine some script moments and add the new lighting and add the projections.
I also really like that choice.
And there's a bit that's unique to the Apollo Victoria Theatre, which is when the whole theatre turns green, which I quite like.
I liked that.
In one short day. I also love the lighting in this show is incredible. I think it has way more cues than is necessary. Like every
I love the two follow spot guys that are literally just up there the entire. One thing I'm disappointed with, though, while I'm thinking about that bit with the staging, when they did the curtain call at the end and everyone's there taking their bows and curtsies, nothing for the dragon.
Oh,
And there are dragon operators there doing their thing.
Yeah.
Why didn't he get his moment?
don't know.
There was a massive dragon up there. The lighting was green. At some points, I'm like, when's Shrek coming out?
The dragon is.
I want Donkey on. I want Donkey on an edge.
The dragon has always been a weird thing for people with the show because they go, "Why is it there?" I mean, it serves.
never explained.
It serves no.
There's a couple of references to a dragon clock, but other than that, it's never explained. But I feel like he's a little character in himself and should.
He's very when his eyes light up and things. He's
Exactly.
very cool.
He's cute.
But you can't deny it's the most iconic musical of the 21st century.
Depends who you ask.
Go on.
Because you look at things like Hamilton,
Yeah, but okay, not
which is just across the road.
Defying Gravity has been parodied
Oh, yeah.
in Shrek. You know, so many.
Has it?
Yeah, in Shrek the Musical.
Oh, I haven't seen the musical. I'm thinking like in the film.
Yeah,
What?
no. In the theatre world, it's probably the best Act 1 ending that's ever been written.
Oh, yeah. There's no
When
denying
it comes
that.
to the marriage of music, lyrics, orchestrations, lighting, story,
Yeah.
apart from possibly One Day More from Les Mis, but that doesn't have the great lighting or indeed the great music. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And even Stephen
is
Schwartz
good.
has said it's the greatest.
It is good. It's good. Which is why when you said to me that they're splitting the film into two,
Yeah.
hey, this show really doesn't warrant that. I understand if they're going back to the book and they're going to pad it out with stuff from the book. Fair. But as a show, if they're doing like what Matilda did, taking that from a show to screen, it doesn't need to be two films. It's just pure money making.
I think it's pure money making. I think they want to cram more songs in it so it can be nominated for Oscars.
Oh, I hate it when films do that.
Especially when the songs serve no purpose. If
Like
there's like
suddenly.
if there's something,
I know, I'm just going to sit in a carriage and sing to myself while this child falls asleep on my lap so that we can get nominated for an Oscar.
did they win? No.
No.
But I think
I thought they did it. Did they not?
I don't know.
I can't
hope
remember.
not. But if they did it well, like I always think there's a moment in the show where Dr. Dillerman says, "You should have seen this school how it once was," and then he sings about a tiger would quote Shakespeare or whatever. I always thought that needed a song at that moment to really evoke how animals used to talk.
Yeah. Because we're never really aside from Dillerman, we're never really shown, and the monkey at the one line that he gets.
Yeah.
We're never really
And
shown
the lion
that.
and
Right. This is my thing that I was confused by.
put it away, madam.
It's just my finger. That I was really confused by was, so we're shown how the Tin Man is created.
Yep.
We're shown how the Scarecrow is created.
Yep.
Then there's the Cowardly Lion. Now you see his tail,
Yeah.
but that's not really explained.
We saw him as a cub.
Oh, is that him?
Yep.
See, that doesn't really make much sense because they never say, "Oh yeah, you'll be free." They never do anything to.
He was scared.
Yep. Didn't really.
Okay.
It didn't connect, and
Were you expecting the Tin Man and the Scarecrow?
only because you said to me on the way, I had no idea that they were in it.
Okay.
It was only because you said to me
But were
while
you
we were sat there before the show started, and you go, "Have you ever wondered where the Scarecrow came from?" I was like, "No."
But were you expecting those characters to become those characters?
Oh, because you told me that the witch was going to create them. I was expecting more like Elsa creates Olaf.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I made a friend. Now go.
Yeah. But were you expecting the Tin Man to be made the Tin Man via
The characters that were
losing
already in.
the heart and you broke my heart and things?
I
And,
gathered that as it was happening. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, my heart. I was like, oh, here we go.
yeah. But it's still clever and I really appreciate how they put...
Oh, I love how it all ties in.
yeah.
But I feel like it would have been more of a surprise if you hadn't been like, so,
Okay. Yeah.
have you
yeah.
ever wondered? And I'm like, oh, okay. Spoiler alert.
Interestingly, you notice how they couldn't show any ruby slippers.
I
And they-
love the lighting effect, though,
Yeah.
to make the silver ones. Because in the book, they are silver.
Yeah.
So,
And they were only ruby to show off Technicolor.
yeah, exactly. They were never ruby originally. So that I loved that.
But on... because MGM owned the ruby slippers concept, they're not... The Universal who produced this stage show, because it was originally, ironically, was going to be a film, were never allowed to use any imagery from the film, which is why you have Dorothy, but as a shadow.
Yeah. I think that's all really clever.
Yeah.
And like doing it because I say we all know The Wizard of Oz.
More so in America than here. I
Oh,
think.
in America, yeah.
Yeah.
But over here, you
like,
still
it's a
know
it's
The
a
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, but it's a film you watch at Easter. It's not the kind
At
of...
Easter?
Or Christmas or...
Christmas. No, it's not really a holiday film.
It used to be. It used to be on every year.
For me, it was a film I've watched a few times in childhood, but it's so iconic that you can't forget it. And it's so, the imagery is so incredible that it does stay with you, and the story is so well known.
Remember once I was on a bus and there were two girls behind me and they were talking about Wicked and they said, "Oh my God, someone's done a prequel to Wicked." Sorry, someone's done...
A prequel to The Wizard of Oz.
No, they hadn't heard of The Wizard of Oz. They'd heard of Wicked. They said, "Oh my God, they've done a sequel to Wicked, I guess." You know, like the kind of...
Okay.
I weep for humanity. I
That
really do.
breaks my heart. But yeah, I loved how it all tied in. I really did. That it's when things like that started happening that I'm like, yes, finally some content to this teenage drama structure. Wasn't so much a fan of the whole love triangle. I'm like, oh, come on. But when it started tying in, and when her sister became the other witch and things like that, I'm like, I would have liked a bit more explanation with that. Because her trying to cast one spell is like, does that suddenly make her a witch? Is there more? And also, I kind of feel like I wanted the wizard to have more of a moment when there was the reveal, spoiler alert, that he was Elphaba's dad.
Did you see that coming?
No.
Okay.
And I liked that I had no idea. And that was like, because I was like,
Did you expect a real spoiler alert, listener, if you just called out from under a rock?
like me!
Did you expect her to not be dead at the end?
I liked that. I thought that, yeah, that's how the film ends. But then part of me was like, it's a stage show. Like, there's still got to be more of like a, and they all lived happily ever after. So 50-50.
Because I remember gasps when I saw that for the first time, especially in American audiences. When
Yeah, I can
Wicked
see
was
that.
new, and so, oh my God, she's not dead.
You can come out now.
Would you have liked it had you seen it if you were 13?
I would have been terrified by the wizard. By that big mass. That would have put me off for life. I would have been...
But for the school drama stuff.
I wouldn't have understood it.
Okay.
I think at that age. I was so...
But you said to me this is popular for 12-year-olds.
well, I'm not
So
like...
12-year-old Hannah...
wouldn't have understood it. I genuinely don't think I would have understood it.
Okay,
Because
16-year-old Hannah.
Oh no, I'd have found it boring. I've always hated the idea of fucking... Can I... Oh, fine. Thank you. Thank God. Fucking soppy romance things. You know, stories. I want something more... I've always found them boring. I've never been one of those that's read a romance or... Like, that's why Twilight bores me. Because...
But what about a musical like Carousel? Or, like an old-fashioned love boy meets girl musical?
Not seen one.
Okay.
Name some.
South Pacific.
No.
My Fair Lady.
I like the outfits.
Yeah.
I watched that a lot as a kid, actually. Didn't understand what was going on, but I was in it for Audrey Hepburn and her outfits.
Okay.
I was in it for the vibes, not the story.
Would teenage Hannah love the outfits in this show? Or is that something you've grown to
I think
appreciate over time?
Yeah, definitely. Especially since I started sewing as well. And it was like, oh my God, yes. That was more, yeah.
But, I mean, testament to Wicked, it's amazing that it's...
I think it's incredible.
Yeah. And also that there's a lovely fact that I've long thought about Wicked, and it's in the sequence of One Short Day, which is when Elphaba and Glinda go to Oz, go to the Emerald City to meet the wizard. They go and see a show because they go to something called Ozmania, which is a reference to Broadway Mania, which is the thing that happens when a Broadway show in America will go to another city. So you'll have Chicago Mania or Boston Mania or something like that. So,
wait, what? This concept is baffling me.
Yeah.
You'll have to tell me. Okay.
So, for many teenage girls, going to see Wicked in a foreign city was a big thing to do. So suddenly you get these teenage girls in the audience watching themselves on stage, watching two teenage girls going to see a show in a city.
I forget that they're meant to be teenagers. That's the other problem that I had, which is fine.
But that's fascinating. You got the kind of the macrocosm representing the microcosm.
Yeah.
Which I think is a lovely moment, completely unintentional, I was saying, because no one predicted the popularity of this show with that demographic.
What was the other thing I was about to say? I was shocked when you said how old this show was as well, because, like you say, it has stood the test of time. Most definitely, it stood the test of time. But my question to you is, do you think it's due like a restaging?
It has been restaged.
It has.
In Brazil, I think. it's now getting to the stage where this is being redone, this production, because I was always disappointed with the flying bit, the end in Defying Gravity.
Do you know, I was saying... So, it's funny you should say that, because when the broom came out and you could see the wire attached to it, I was like, oh. And that's purely because, it's probably really snobbish of me to say, but recently, personally, I've seen Aladdin, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Frozen, where all this amazing... And guess the key denominator there is...
No wires.
No, not just... But they're all Disney productions, and they've all brought that Disney magic to it. So all of a sudden, seeing a production where here's the wire dangling the broomstick, you're watching someone get clipped in by the person stood behind them to the harness, you know? And then it's like, oh, she just raises up and that's it.
The thing is, with that effect, I saw that in Joseph in Amazing Technicolor Doodah in 1993.
Yeah, and it's never been updated.
She stands on a cherry lift and it just goes up with a bit of fabric extending out.
Yeah.
It works beautifully as a moment, but it's
also a moment that has been done to promote that show so much that even as someone who has never seen that show before and knew very little about that, I still knew that was coming. And if that is the quote, quote, big moment...
Yeah.
It's like,
Whereas if you watch his Brazilian production, she's flying over the audience.
Oh, see, that's the sort of thing I want. I
that. Think they tried to do it originally.
I want that Mary Poppins moment. Do you know what I mean? Oh, yeah, everyone deserves a chance to fly. Then do it, hun.
I think in No Good Deed, when they were planning the production for the Broadway one, they wanted her to fly from the audience onto the stage.
Oh, see that.
But I don't think they could have made it possible. And it's like the show isn't clunky nowadays. It's just, I was thinking nowadays if they were to mount this production, you'd go in the auditorium, there'd be the pre-show set, the pre-show curtain would just say Wicked.
Yeah.
And it would be all like a screen on the background, and that would be it. And there'd be some cool flying. But I quite like the fact that it does none of that.
I love the fact that it's very practical.
And
I loved the bit with the cage with the monkeys in, like when they were all climbing and things like that. Gave me Matilda vibes from that point of view.
In Broadway, the monkeys fly over the audience.
See, I want more of that from it. I really do. I wanted a monkey to like come down the aisle and be scared that he was going to take me. That's the kind of fear I wanted, but I did love how the wings came out the back. I thought that was so cool. So cool. That's the kind of thing that I'm like, yes, more of this coolness.
And for a show about magic, to have very little magic in it. Like, I remember the first time I saw it when she starts to do I'm going to turn your dress into a ball gown. I was like, okay, we're going to get this. And there's like, no, sorry.
There's nothing.
And then the broom flies on, which is fine.
Is it though?
No, but the way you could do it now is a broom could be on the stage and you could have brooms, it could jump up and dance. You get that at Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
In Mickey and the Magician.
But no, again, it's Disney.
And it's kind of like, I wish they went further with it, which is why it'd be interesting to see a new production of it. And there are some very weird new productions of it. There's one involving like, it's all set in the modern day and it's all CCTV style footage with screens everywhere. But it shows that this musical is now so iconic that it's being reconceived.
Yeah, I know if they were to mess with that production over here, people would kick off.
Yeah.
Big time.
But it
just needs a little bit of love putting back into it, I feel.
But because it's a tourist attraction, it has to be the same as every other one that's like the production, the Mark Platt Universal Studios production around the world. Interestingly, what the film does with it.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing I have is obviously songs like Defying Gravity, Popular are the big hitters of this show. Everything else you've named whilst we've been sat here, I've got no idea what they were. Nothing stuck out to me like, yes, I love that song. Now, is it because I knew those two anyway, and they're the two that I would have come away like humming? Or is it
Probably.
because none of them were standout? Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't... Or is it just because for that particular venue, as we discussed in the interval, the sound isn't too great?
No, I think it's because
Because there were a lot of times when I couldn't work out what they were singing, especially when it was the whole chorus. Few things Glinda was singing, I couldn't work out what she was singing.
the standout songs for me have always been The Wizard and I, which I know bothered you for its kind of...
Oh, there were so many good rhyming moments,
Yeah.
and it's still B and I. They don't rhyme, and that annoys me.
And Defying Gravity, obviously, Popular is a masterpiece in... I quite like Wonderful, which is the one the wizard sings, where
Wait, did
he
have
sings
a song?
about, are you a thief or are you a philanthropist?
Oh,
You
that
know.
one, yeah.
I think the lyrics are better than the music, but I always find that with Stephen Schwartz. He's a very, very talented songwriter, but his lyrics are very strong, I think.
They weren't. I'm not saying that the songs are bad at all. They were enjoyable, but I haven't come away like, oh, that one
But
that
it
was
doesn't
about.
help that Defying Gravity is just iconic, and you know it's like everyone goes in knowing that, and that's one you're waiting for.
Mind you, saying that, I went into Hamilton as an example, knowing a couple of the songs, and by that I mean like two. I came out and I listened to the original cast recording so much that I learned almost the entire show. That's how I wanted to feel about Wicked. Not so much. What I like, though, and what I really enjoyed is, yes, I knew Popular, and yes, I knew Defying Gravity, but having those put into the context of the show and actually understanding,
Where they come from.
oh, so that's where they come
Yeah.
from, and that's how they link in with the story. Love that now. I absolutely love that.
The cast album for Wicked is beautifully made and recorded, so I do urge you to listen to it again because they will come back to you, the moments.
Okay.
I'm Not That Girl is a lovely song,
Which one was that?
which is the one that both Elphaba and Glinda sing when the other is with the bloke, was with Fiyero. Hands touch.
That
eyes
really
meet.
annoyed me. Like, that man is a player.
Yeah.
Oh, he annoyed me. Blimmin' Ferrero
Sudden
Rocher.
silence, sudden heat. Da 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 da.
Nah, lost on me.
It's just a lovely piece of music, but some of the songs, there are some filler songs like Paul Dr. Dillerman doesn't get any, like he gets his goat song, and Not the Greatest of All Time. There's something bad is happening in Oz, and then Dancing Through Life is the big kind of ballroom scene. You get the kind of we're going to have sex song.
Yeah, I was bored with that one.
Yeah.
Went on a bit.
And For Good, of course, which is a lovely song, but I think a verse or four could have been cut from it. But as a structured piece of musical theatre, every song serves a purpose. They move
absolutely.
the story forward.
There was nothing in there that was like, oh, God, we don't need
No.
this right now.
And that's where Stephen Schwartz is excellent,
Yeah.
is he knows how to structure. You know, look at the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
The film?
Yeah, The Bells of Notre Dame is one of the great...
Banger. I love that.
Yeah.
It's the greatest opening to anything ever.
So that's all Stephen Schwartz, with Alan Menken doing the music, but Stephen Schwartz would have structured that song. He really knows what he's doing.
I love that song. I used to listen to that song on repeat.
Yeah. So I think because he didn't veer into pastiche, apart from the Wizards material, the music doesn't really stand out as anything. It's just very kind
It's
of
part of the story.
of the universe.
Yeah.
So it's not aiming to do this song has to be good and this song has to be, you know, this. They're just good musical theatre writing songs that serve the purpose for the moment.
I was sat there actually, and I was, as we were watching it, and I'm thinking, how many people choose these as audition songs? Because I feel like they're
I think
so
Wicked and
iconic
Les
for
Mis are
that.
now banned from auditions.
Brilliant.
Because
Everybody does them.
everyone does Defying Gravity. And it's like, no more. Sorry.
So the way that I said to you, went to the loo in the interval, and on the way back out, all I could hear was about 4 different people doing that bit at the end of Defying Gravity that I'm not even going to attempt to do, but you... Oh, thank you for that. Bleak reminder of COVID.
But to hear that in that space, in that moment, I still think it's really thrilling. You're not moved? You're not convinced by it?
Didn't give me goosebumps.
No.
Knew it was coming. That's the thing.
Yeah. But imagine seeing that show without knowing that was coming.
How can you not?
Imagine being there the first...
I live under a rock, quite literally. A stick of rock.
Plymouth Rock.
No, a stick of rock. I'm not from America.
But imagine...
I live under a stick of rock, and I still knew that happened.
Imagine 20 years ago when the show
Oh
opened.
yeah, when
Not...
I bet it's like I said to you at the time, earlier on, that, like you say, especially nowadays, you go and see so many shows that are just a cross arch with the title card, prison or whatever, and
Both wonderful musicals.
and then to
Prison
actually
is my favourite.
to actually go in and see all the artistry, the cogs, that dragon and the practical sets and everything, even for now, when, like you say, everything is so screen reliant, it is mind-blowing. So I can't even imagine 20 years ago what that was like when people walked in and were like, oh my God. And for things to be slightly on the darker side, to not be... You go in, Wizard of Oz, you go in thinking, well, it's a yellow brick road and everything's going to be green. And yeah, fine, you get the green, but it's moodier. And I like that.
Yeah. You liked the more adult Act 2, didn't you?
I did,
You wanted
yeah.
the whole thing to be like that.
I wish it could have been more of that content, because I feel the first act in parts lets it down.
So there's a sequel
Okay.
to Wicked called Son of a Witch,
Love that.
which is the Gregory Maguire. And there's a third one as well, I think he wrote about the lion.
It's like Rocky Horror.
So there is a trilogy here. So Stephen Schwartz, Son of a Witch, the musical, get on it.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me along the yellow brick road to
Yes.
the Emerald City. And welcome to the Wicked Club.
Thank you. I definitely see it again, but it's not one that I would have made the whole trek up for.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Which is why it was a nice spontaneous
Trip.
thing. What else is on your spontaneous list, just to end this conversation? Because I mentioned Mrs. Doubtfire to you, but you don't know the film.
I've
do
never
you?
seen the film, so
Not that it should matter.
no. I'm in it for the fact that you've shown me that Cher lookalike
Cher
is
is in it, yes.
I'll go for that brief second.
Yeah.
That's all I'll be interested in.
But there is an element of camp to it, and you do enjoy camp and things.
I do. Which is why I loved all the costumes of the Emerald City. I was like, yes, that's my vibe. I wish there was more of that kind of like element to it. Oh my God, what's on at the moment? Where's a list? Let me have a look. Hang on. Fill some time a second.
Got a little list.
Oh, yeah. We haven't seen that, haven't we?
Yes, we're going to see the play of Inside Number 9.
Does Aber Voyage count?
I guess so.
Yes, because I really
Relevant
want
for
to see
tonight because it is Eurovision, but
that.
I want to get back to Mamma Mia because it's been
Absolute vibe. I love it.
27 years or whatever it is since I've seen that. So,
Sorry, last year?
yeah,
Is it last year I saw it?
we talked about it.
Oh, yeah. What is on my list? Moulin Rouge is one I'm, again,
It's very expensive.
I know it is, and that's the thing, is I know I want to be determined to go and see it, because to spend that amount of money, and I feel like there are never deals on.
No.
So it's one that I know I have to make a commitment to go and see, and I want to be excited to see it, otherwise I'm going to feel let down that I wasted the money. And because I'm still very undecided / not too bothered, I'm sure I'd like it. But again, never seen the film. So take it or leave it. Les Mis I'd like to go and see, but I know it's not your cup of tea. It's on the
Phantom?
list. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Mean Girls?
Oh, God, I can't stand that film.
That's the most disdained thing you've ever said.
I just don't get it. I do not get that hype.
Okay.
Everyone was banging on about Mean Girls, Mean Girls, Mean Girls. I was in my 20s when I was like, do you know what? Fine, I'll cave and I'll watch it. I did not get the hype. I went to DragCon back in 2020 and one of the cast was there at the booth. Everybody running towards them and I'm literally just like, oh, what's... And they're, oh, it's in Mean Girls. I was like, oh, I'm going to go this way and get in the queue for somebody else.
Okay.
So the musical just does not vibe for me, personally. See, The Devil Wears Prada, obviously that's going to come out. I loved the book. Loved the book.
As a Glenn Close fan.
She's not in it, but yeah, I am.
Wasn't she? Was she in the film?
Meryl Streep,
Meryl
babe.
Streep, same thing.
Get out of your own house right now. How dare you?
Why did I think Glenn Close?
Because Meryl's got that amazing white wig
Okay.
on.
Glenn Close could do it.
Stop it. You're breaking my heart, right? She could do it. But that's not the point.
Oh, because she was Cruella de Vil, wasn't she? So I was getting the two confused.
How?
Black and white hair?
Miranda Priestley does not... Oh, my gosh.
Anyway,
Anywho's-
Devil Wears Prada. Sister Act?
I've always been trained not to like it, so never seen it. Anyway, Devil Wears Prada, my point was, read the book, it was so much... And then I watched the film. Film, again, trash compared to the book. I was so gutted. The biggest mistake they did when they made that film was they didn't make it an 18. Because the book is so like,
Honest.
Oh, so much more happens.
Yeah, okay.
And then you watch the film and you're like, what?
So we'll go into that musical because that'd be fun.
It's starting in Plymouth, actually.
Yeah.
It's one that I've not really thought about, not overly phased by. Sister Act, never seen the film, been taught growing up. It's a load of rubbish, apparently.
Great musical.
Never seen it. That's one I know nothing about. Absolutely
I think you'd quite enjoy it.
I don't know any of the songs. I don't know anything.
Alan Menken score. It's great.
Wicked, Book of Mormon I've seen, Hamilton. See, Lion King is another one I'm very hit or miss about. Love a Disney production.
I saw it.
I've seen it in the parks. I've seen when they've done little bits of it,
you've
and I
seen
feel
the
like
best
I've
bit.
seen it. Yeah, I've seen the best
So
bits.
the issue with Lion King is that it starts amazingly and goes downhill all the way from then on until it repeats what it did at the beginning at the end.
Ugh.
And I saw it post-lockdown and they cut so many amazing bits from it, like birds flying over the audience and Ariel, not Ariel the princess, but Ariel trapeze stuff, like
drinking tea.
drapes, you know, that when
Yeah,
people...
I love that.
all cut from the show. And I was like, am I going mad, or was it never in this production? And friends have said, yeah, it was. They just don't do it anymore. It was something they got rid of when COVID was a thing and just haven't put it back.
Oh, I hate things like that happen when they use COVID as an excuse not to do things. That really annoys me. Do you think I'd like Hello Dolly?
We'll find out.
Because I'd go and see it.
I
The
think you'd
Melbourne.
like it for the old-fashioned retro,
I've seen it when like Craig Revel Hall did it on Strictly.
costumes. And it's a very
that's my vibe.
razzmatazzy showbiz, but I'd never seen it. So
That's the Hello Dolly dress. That's where I recognised it from.
So I want to see it for that, and I think Imelda Staunton's very good.
I'd love to see her in.
I think you'd like the Palladium.
I've never been. Never been. 6 is another one that's just come up. Again, very hit or miss. I feel like that's another one purely for the length of time of the show. I'm someone that has to travel over an hour to get to my nearest theatre. If I have to travel longer than the show is just to get there and back, it ain't worth me going. So that's another one that I feel like being here is one. Starlight, that's a musical, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I'm not fazed by roller skates. If I'm gonna watch that, I'll go down a skate park. Back to the Future, is that a musical?
It is, yes.
Yeah,
It's very good. It's very theatrical.
not seen the film.
You need to see more films. I think we need to start film talk, and then we need to make you watch all these great films that are now musicals, which is a discussion for another time.
I am denied about Cabaret, but that became impossible to get a ticket for. Is Bluey's Big Play a play or a musical? Can we go and see that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Bluey.
What's it called?
Bluey's Big Play.
That'll answer your question then.
But it might have songs in it.
It might do.
Bingo.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Musical Talk.
You get me to watch those films, I'll make you watch Bluey.
Thank you.
Can we go and watch the SpongeBob musical when that comes back round, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for talking about Wicked. Glad you enjoyed it.
Glad you've learned I'm an intellectual.
Yep. We shall speak to you soon. And
No, thank you for this evening. I've really enjoyed it. Genuinely, I really enjoyed the show. It is one that I will go and see again.
Okay.
Purely from a costume element. And I do wonder...
Would you like to be closer?
I think that would help. And I don't mean that in a snobby way. But I loved seeing it from that perspective, like I say, to see everything on the floor. But yeah, seeing it again... I feel like being up there, because the auditorium is so big, I feel like you lose the scale of some of the things. And I think being down and looking up on it, it might be a bit more like, oh, wow. But also, because I know nothing about these shows, and I find this, because I know nothing about them and I go in blind, I am just so overwhelmed with taking it all in. Seeing it on a second viewing, I can pick up things and be like, oh, yes. So yeah, it's definitely one I go and see again, 100%. I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much
Thank you for listening
to this week's episode of Musical Talk.
Sorry if I offended anyone with my lack of knowledge.
We shall speak to you soon.
It's a disclaimer I do every time I'm on this show.
It's a disclaimer we've done every time we do this show.
Sorry if I offended anyone.
And thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
We'll speak to you soon. This is Musical Talk, and I'm Nick Hudson. That's Hannah. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Musical Talk. To find out more about the world of Musical Talk, you can visit our website at musicaltalk.co.uk, where you'll find all our episodes, or you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Musical Talk.